Hezbollah, Arabic for Party of God, is a powerful political and military organization based in Lebanon. Founded in 1982 as a response to Israel's invasion of Lebanon, Hezbollah emerged as a Shiite militia group determined to resist Israeli occupation. From its inception, Hezbollah has been deeply intertwined with the Palestinian struggle against Israel. The group views Israel as an illegitimate state and a threat to the Muslim world. Hezbollah has provided training, weapons and financial support to Palestinian militant groups, including Hamas. Its supporters view the group as a legitimate resistance movement fighting for the liberation of Palestine and the defense of Lebanon. Detractors, however, label Hezbollah as a terrorist organization, citing its attacks on Israeli civilians and its destabilizing influence in the region. Hezbollah's history is inextricably linked to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The group's relationship with Iran is a defining feature of its identity and strategy. Understanding Hezbollah's history, ideology, and motivations is essential for comprehending the complexities of the current situation. Hezbollah's relationship with Hamas is built upon a shared ideological foundation of resistance against Israel. Both groups view Israel as an illegitimate occupying power and advocate for its removal. This shared objective has fostered a strategic alliance, with Hezbollah providing Hamas with military training, logistical support, and weaponry. This alliance, often referred to as the Axis of Resistance, also includes Iran and Syria. Iran provides significant financial, military, and political support to Hezbollah, viewing the group as a crucial ally in its regional strategy. The Axis of Resistance operates on multiple levels, encompassing political coordination, intelligence sharing, and military cooperation. Hezbollah's role within this axis is multifaceted, serving as a conduit for Iranian support to Hamas and other Palestinian militant groups. The strength and cohesion of the Axis of Resistance have fluctuated over the years, influenced by regional dynamics and internal developments within each member state. However, the shared animosity towards Israel and the West has provided a durable foundation for cooperation. This alliance has significant implications for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, as it strengthens the capabilities of groups opposed to Israel. Hezbollah's decision to involve itself in the conflict between Hamas and Israel is driven by a complex set of political calculations. Domestically, Hezbollah derives legitimacy from its image as a defender of Lebanon against Israeli aggression. By demonstrating solidarity with Hamas and the Palestinian cause, Hezbollah aims to bolster its popularity among Lebanon's Shia population. This domestic support is crucial for Hezbollah's political survival and influence within Lebanon's fragile political system. Regionally, Hezbollah's involvement in the conflict serves to reinforce its credentials as a leading force within the Axis of Resistance. By standing with Hamas, Hezbollah aims to project an image of strength and resolve to its allies, particularly Iran. However, Hezbollah's involvement also carries significant risks. Openly engaging in the conflict could provoke Israeli retaliation against Lebanon, potentially dragging the country into a devastating war. Hezbollah's actions are carefully calibrated to advance its political interests while minimizing potential risks. Understanding these factors is essential for comprehending Hezbollah's strategic calculus in the context of the ongoing conflict. The ongoing conflict between Hamas and Israel carries significant economic implications for Hezbollah and the region as a whole. War is a costly endeavor, requiring vast resources to sustain military operations and address the inevitable damage to infrastructure and the economy. Hezbollah, already facing financial constraints due to sanctions, must carefully consider the economic costs of its involvement in the conflict. Providing material support to Hamas further strains Hezbollah's resources. The group relies heavily on funding from Iran, which itself is grappling with economic challenges. Any escalation of the conflict that draws Hezbollah into direct confrontation with Israel risks devastating Lebanon's economy. Israel possesses overwhelming military superiority and has demonstrated its willingness to target Lebanon's infrastructure in previous conflicts. The economic fallout from such a scenario would be catastrophic for Lebanon, further deepening its ongoing economic crisis. Beyond the immediate costs of war, the conflict also has long-term economic consequences, deterring foreign investment and disrupting trade. Hezbollah's economic calculations are inseparable from its political and military considerations. Hezbollah's involvement in the Hamas-Israel conflict is deeply intertwined with a sense of social solidarity. The group's ideology emphasizes the interconnectedness of the Muslim world and the shared struggle against oppression. For Hezbollah, the Palestinian cause resonates deeply, evoking a sense of shared history and destiny. The plight of Palestinians is seen as a potent symbol of the broader struggle against Western imperialism. Hezbollah's mobilization efforts draw upon this sense of social solidarity, framing the conflict as a collective duty. The group's rhetoric emphasizes unity, sacrifice, and resistance, galvanizing support among Shia communities. Religion shapes Hezbollah's worldview and actions. Rooted in Shia Islam, resistance against oppression is seen as a divine obligation. Inspired by Ayatollah Khomeini, they resist Western imperialism and support oppressed Muslims. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is framed in religious terms, portraying Israel as an oppressor. Leaders use religious rhetoric to justify actions, portraying the struggle as a sacred duty. This religious dimension fuels their commitment to armed resistance and sacrifices. They provide religious education and social services, fostering community and shared purpose. Hezbollah's support for Hamas is unwavering, but its direct involvement in the conflict is ambiguous. The fog of war and deliberate obfuscation make it challenging to ascertain Hezbollah's participation. Israel accuses Hezbollah of firing rockets in solidarity with Hamas. Hezbollah denies direct involvement, claiming only political and moral support. Independent verification is difficult as both sides engage in information warfare. Despite the lack of evidence, Hezbollah likely provides logistical support and intelligence. Direct involvement could provoke massive Israeli retaliation, risking a wider war. The conflict between Hamas and Israel has sent shockwaves throughout the Middle East. Hezbollah's involvement injects a dangerous element into an already volatile situation. The axis of resistance views the conflict through the lens of its broader struggle against Israel. Any escalation could trigger a coordinated response, drawing these actors into direct confrontation. Iran has vowed to support Hamas and condemned Israel's actions in Gaza. Perception of an existential threat to Hamas could compel Tehran to authorize more direct action. The international community has responded to the escalating conflict between Hamas and Israel with a mixture of condemnation, calls for restraint, and diplomatic efforts to broker a ceasefire. However, the response has been fragmented, reflecting the complex geopolitical dynamics at play. The United States, Israel's closest ally, has firmly backed Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas's rocket attacks. However, the Biden administration has also expressed concern about civilian casualties and urged restraint on both sides. The U.S. has blocked attempts at the UN Security Council to issue a joint statement condemning the violence, arguing that such a move would be counterproductive. European countries have condemned the violence on both sides and called for an immediate ceasefire. Russia, which has relatively good relations with both Israel and Hamas, has called for an end to the violence and offered to host talks between the warring parties. Turkey, which has positioned itself as a champion of the Palestinian cause, has condemned Israel's actions as state terrorism and called for international sanctions against Israel. The Arab world has been divided in its response. The international community's response to the conflict reflects the complex web of alliances and interests that shape Middle Eastern geopolitics. As the dust settles on the latest round of fighting between Hamas and Israel, the question of what comes next looms large. The prospects for a lasting peace between Israelis and Palestinians seem as elusive as ever, while the underlying issues that fuel the conflict remain unaddressed. The immediate priority is to secure a ceasefire that holds and prevents further bloodshed. However, experience suggests that a mere cessation of hostilities is insufficient to break the cycle of violence. Without addressing the root causes of the conflict, namely, the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories and the denial of Palestinian self-determination, any respite is likely to be temporary. The two-state solution, once the internationally endorsed framework for peace, has lost much of its viability over the years. The continued expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank has fragmented the territory, making it increasingly difficult to envision a contiguous and sovereign Palestinian state alongside Israel. Moreover, the Palestinian political landscape remains deeply divided, with Hamas controlling the Gaza Strip and Fatah governing parts of the West Bank. This division undermines any prospect of unified Palestinian leadership capable of negotiating a credible peace agreement. In the absence of a credible peace process, the cycle of violence seems destined to repeat itself. Regardless of the outcome of the recent conflict between Hamas and Israel, Hezbollah has once again demonstrated its enduring influence as a major player in the Middle East. The group's steadfast support for the Palestinian cause and its military capabilities have solidified its position as a force to be reckoned with. Hezbollah's legacy is one of resistance. The group has evolved into a powerful political and military actor, projecting its influence across the region. Hezbollah's enduring legacy as a symbol of resistance against Israeli hegemony and Western influence is likely to persist.